When the last human warship fell, the superwarship of the ancient Sturs, the Vorak homeworld, was called Vorak Prime. It was a massive planet, 3 times the size of Earth, covered in cities that stretched from pole to pole. 8 billion Vorak lived there. It was the heart of an empire that had conquered 100 worlds. And now, the wrath of the first children hung in its sky like a second moon. Emperor Thrall stood on the balcony of his palace, looking up at the ship. His 4 arms hung limp at his sides. His black eyes were wide with something he had never felt before. Fear dotted around him, his advisors argued. Generals demanded action. Scientists asked for time to study the threat. Politicians blamed each other for the disaster. The usual noise of an empire in crisis. Silence, Thrall said quietly. Everyone stopped talking. The human ship has been in our sky for 3 hours. It has not fired. It has not moved. What does it want? Perhaps it is waiting for reinforcements, suggested General Vax. From where? We monitored their entire system. They had 1 ship, 1. Then perhaps a new voice interrupted. It came from everywhere. From the speakers in the palace. From the screens in the cities. From every communication device on the planet. Emperor Thrall of the Vorak Empire. This is Commander Minho of the human vessel Wrath of the First Children. I request an audience. Thrall's heart beat faster. The human was speaking directly to him. Somehow, the ship had taken control of every communication system on the planet. What do you want? Thrall asked. He did not know if the human could hear him. I want to talk. Face to face. I am sending a shuttle to your palace. I will come alone and unarmed. You may bring as many guards as you wish. The advisors started shouting again. It was a trap. It was a trick. The human was insane, but Thrall raised his hand for silence. He looked up at the massive ship in the sky. If the human wanted to destroy them, he could have done it already. Instead, he wanted to talk. Very well, Thrall said. I will meet with you. 1 hour later, Minho walked through the doors of the Vorak throne room. He was wearing simple clothes. No armor, no weapons. Just a man who had come a long way to deliver a message. The throne room was enormous. Pillars of black stone rose toward a ceiling so high it was lost in shadows. Thousands of Vorak soldiers lined the walls, their weapons ready. At the far end, Emperor Thrall sat on a throne made of the bones of his enemies. Minho walked forward. He did not hurry. He did not show fear. He simply walked, his footsteps echoing in the vast hall behind him. Admiral Yuna and Dr. June followed. They had insisted on coming. Minho had agreed, partly because he wanted witnesses, and partly because he did not want to face this moment alone. They stopped before the throne. Minho looked up at Emperor Thrall. The Vorak was massive, almost 3 meters tall. His gray skin was covered in battle scars. His 4 arms ended in claws that could cut through steel. You are smaller than I expected, Thrall said. Size is not everything, Minho replied. Thrall almost smiled. Almost. You have destroyed my fleet. You have humiliated my empire. You have come to my world uninvited. Give me one reason why I should not kill you where you stand. Because you cannot. Minho's voice was calm. Your soldiers could fire every weapon in this room, and it would not matter. My ship is watching. If I die, your planet burns. You know this. That is why you agreed to meet. Thrall was silent for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. You speak truth. So speak more. Why are you here? I am here to deliver a message. Minho stepped forward. 3 months ago, your fleet entered our system. You killed millions of our people. You destroyed our colonies. You burned our ships. You thought we were weak, young, alone. He took another step. The soldiers tensed. Thrall did not move. You were wrong. Minho reached into his pocket. Every soldier raised their weapon, but he only pulled out a small device. A holographic projector. He activated it. Images appeared in the air. Ancient humans building ships that dwarfed anything the Vorak had ever made. Ancient humans fighting wars across galaxies. Ancient humans standing as masters of stars that the Vorak Empire had never even seen. Our ancestors were the first children of Earth, Minho said. They ruled this galaxy millions of years before your species existed. They built weapons that could destroy stars. They fought enemies that would make the Vorak look like children playing with sticks. The images changed. The wrath of the first children rising from Europa. The battle at Mars. The destruction of the Vorak fleet at Earth. They left us this ship. They left us others, hidden across the galaxy. And they left us a choice. Thrall leaned forward. What choice? The choice of what kind of people we want to be. Minho turned off the projector. Our ancestors chose to start over because they did not like what they had become. They did not want to be conquerors. They wanted to be something better. They gave up their power so they could find a new path. He looked directly into Thrall's black eyes. I could destroy your empire. Right now, today, I could burn every Vorak world and end your species forever. My ship has the power. And after what you did to us, many of my people would cheer. The throne room was completely silent. But that is not what I want, Minho continued. That is not what humanity wants. We do not want to become what you are. We do not want to rule through fear and death. We want to live in peace. We want to explore the stars and build new things and find new friends. Then what do you want from us? Thrall asked. I want you to leave us alone. I want you to return the prisoners you took from our colonies. I want you to repair the damage you caused. And I want you to remember. Remember what? Minho smiled. It was a sad smile. A tired smile. But also a smile with steel behind it. Remember that when you killed our last ship, you woke something far worse. Remember that humanity is not weak. We are not young. We are not alone. We are the children of the first children. And we will not fall. He turned and began walking toward the door. Admiral Yuna and Dr. June walked with him. That is all? Thrall called after him. You destroy my fleet, invade my world, and then just leave? Minho stopped. He turned back. You expected me to kill you, he said. You expected revenge, destruction. That is what the Vorak would do. That is what every empire in this galaxy would do. He shook his head. We are not like you. We do not want to be like you. We had the power to end you, and we chose mercy. Remember that too. Remember that when you think about what kind of empire you want to be. He walked out of the throne room. He walked through the palace. He walked to his shuttle and flew back to the wrath of the first children. Emperor Thrall watched the massive human ship turn away from his world. It did not fire. It did not threaten. It simply left, taking its impossible power with it. Around him, his advisors were arguing again, demanding revenge, demanding action. But Thrall was not listening. He was thinking about what the human had said. They had the power to destroy us, and they chose not to. For the first time in his long life, Thrall wondered if there might be a better way. On the wrath of the first children, Minho sat in the captain's chair. He was exhausted, physically, emotionally, every kind of exhausted a person could be. You did well, June said. She stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder. Your ancestors will be proud. I hope so. He looked at the stars streaming past the viewport. Guardian, set course for Earth. Yes, Commander. Estimated arrival time, 16 hours. 16 hours. Then he could rest. Then he could sleep. Admiral Yuna stepped forward. What happens now? The Vorak will not forget what happened. Other empires will hear about us. The galaxy will know about humanity. That is the point, Minho said. We are not hiding anymore. We are not pretending to be weak. The galaxy knows what we are now, what we can do. And maybe, if we are lucky, that knowledge will keep the peace. And if it does not? Minho looked at the star map. The blue dot of Earth, the green dots of human survivors. And beyond them, millions of stars that humanity had not yet explored. Then we fight. But we fight on our terms. Not as destroyers. Not as conquerors. As protectors. As guardians. Like this ship. Like our ancestors meant us to be. The wrath of the first children flew on through the darkness. Behind it, the Vorak Empire began to change. Not quickly. Not easily. But change was coming. And across the galaxy, other species watched. They had heard the stories. They had seen the recordings. They knew now that Earth was not a planet of weak primitives. It was the homeworld of the first children. It was protected. Humanity was not just saved. Humanity was remembered. And in the quiet spaces between stars, in the hidden places where ancient ships still slept, guardians that had waited for millions of years began to stir, because their creators had returned. When the last human warship fell, the superwarship of the ancient stirs, the Vorak occupation fleet at Mars was celebrating. Commander Zeth stood on the bridge of his cruiser, watching his soldiers drink and laugh. They had earned it. Earth was only 2 days away. Soon, the last humans would be dead, and the Vorak Empire would add another star system to its collection. Commander, called one of his officers. Our sensors are detecting something strange. Zeth turned lazily. What kind of strange? A ship, sir. Approaching from the outer system. Very fast. Human? Zeth laughed. We destroyed all their ships. I do not think it is human, sir. It is big. Zeth walked over to the sensor station. What he saw made his forearms go stiff. The ship on the screen was enormous. Bigger than anything Zeth had ever seen. Bigger than the largest Vorak battleship. Bigger than some moons. It moved through space like a predator, silent and certain. What is that? Zeth whispered. Before anyone could answer, the strange ship fired. There was no warning. No sound, just light. A beam of pure white energy cut through space and hit the Vorak fleet. 3 ships vanished instantly. Not destroyed, vanished, as if they had never existed. All ships, battle positions. Zeth screamed. Return fire. The Vorak fleet scrambled. Hundreds of ships turned toward the enemy. Thousands of weapons fired. The sky lit up with enough energy to burn a continent. None of it mattered. The strange ship did not even try to dodge. The Vorak weapons hit its hull and simply stopped, like rain hitting a mountain. The ship did not slow down. It did not shake. It did not care dot, and then it fired again. More ships died. 10 this time. Then 20. Then 50. The Vorak fleet was falling apart. Ships tried to run. The strange ship caught them. Ships tried to surrender. The strange ship ignored them and struck the weapons from their hulls instead, leaving them drifting and helpless. In 15 minutes, it was over. The entire Vorak occupation fleet at Mars 200 ships was gone, destroyed or disabled. Commander Zeth's cruiser was one of the disabled ones. He floated in the wreckage of his bridge, staring at the strange ship through a crack in the hull. It was close now. Close enough to see details. The hull was covered in symbols that seemed to glow. The shape was unlike anything in Vorak records. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. "What are you?" Zeth whispered. A voice answered. It came through every speaker on every surviving ship. It was calm. It was clear. It was human. "This is the wrath of the first children. Humanity sends its regards." Then the ship was gone, moving toward Earth at speeds that should have been impossible. Zeth managed to send a warning to the main fleet before his life support failed. He died wondering what the Vorak had awakened. On the wrath of the first children, Minho watched the battle replay on the main screen. His hands were shaking. He had just killed hundreds of living beings. Thousands, maybe. He felt sick. "You did what was necessary," June said softly. She stood beside him, her face pale but determined. "They were going to destroy Earth. I know." Minho took a deep breath. "I know, but it does not make it easier." "It should not," Guardian said. "The first children learned that lesson. War should never be easy. The moment it becomes easy is the moment you have lost something important." Minho nodded. He understood now why his ancestors had chosen to start over. Power like this could corrupt anyone. He had to be careful. He had to stay human. "Status report," he said. "Mars occupation fleet eliminated. We are on approach to Earth. Admiral Yuna has been informed. She's mobilizing all surviving human forces." "What about the main Vorak fleet?" "They have received Commander Zeth's warning. They are confused. Their sensors are having trouble understanding what attacked their forces. Admiral Krath has ordered the fleet to increase speed." "They are running toward us?" "Yes. Admiral Krath believes that one ship, no matter how large, cannot defeat 6,000. Minho almost smiled. He's about to learn something. The wrath of the first children reached Earth orbit 8 hours later. Minho looked down at the blue and green planet through the viewport. His home, every human's home. It was so beautiful. "Human vessels approaching," Guardian reported. "Admiral Yuna's fleet." They were small ships. Shuttles, mostly. A few old warships that had been hiding in underground hangars. Compared to the Wrath, they looked like toys. But they were crewed by humans who had refused to give up. Admiral Yuna's face appeared on the screen. She looked better than before. There was hope in her eyes now. "So this is the ship," she said, looking around through the video feed. "It is even bigger than I imagined." "It is an honor to meet you in person, Admiral," Minho said. "Sort of. Likewise, Commander. I have been coordinating with resistance cells across the system. Word of what you did at Mars has spread. People are fighting back. On the lunar bases. On the asteroid colonies. Everywhere, humans are rising up. The Vorak forces at those locations are weakened," Guardian added. "Their main fleet was pulled back for the Earth invasion. Local resistance has a chance." Minho felt warmth in his chest. "Hope, real hope. How long until the Vorak arrive?" He asked. 12 hours. "Then we have 12 hours to prepare." He looked at Admiral Yuna. "I want every ship you have in formation around the Wrath. We cannot protect them from the Vorak weapons. But we can protect Earth." "Understood. What is the plan?" Minho looked at the star map. The red dots of the Vorak fleet were growing closer. "The Vorak expect us to defend. They expect us to hide behind our planet and wait for death. We are not going to do that. Then what are we going to do?" Minho's eyes were cold. "We are going to attack. We are going to hit them before they reach Earth. We are going to show them that humans are not prey. We are predators. And we have been sleeping for too long." The next 12 hours were busy. The human fleet organized. The Wrath's weapons charged. The resistance cells across the solar system coordinated their attacks. And then the Vorak arrived. Admiral Krath's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel just beyond Earth's moon. 6,412 ships arranged in perfect formation. The largest invasion force the Vorak had ever assembled. Krath stood on the bridge of the Conqueror's fist, his forearms clasped behind his back. He had heard the reports from Mars. He had seen the sensor data, but he still did not believe it. "There," said his sensor officer. "The strange ship." Krath looked. The wrath of the first children floated between his fleet and Earth. Around it, tiny human ships clustered like children around a parent. It was impressive. It was also surrounded and outnumbered. "All ships," Krath ordered. "Focus fire on the large vessel. Ignore the small ones." 6,000 ships opened fire. The space between the fleets became a wall of energy. Enough firepower to crack planets. Enough destruction to end civilizations. The Wrath did not move. Its shields absorbed every shot. Then it fired back. Lines of light cut through the Vorak fleet. Ships exploded like stars being born. The perfect formation fell into chaos. Ships tried to scatter. Ships crashed into each other. Ships simply stopped existing, and the Wrath kept firing. "Fall back," Krath screamed. "All ships fall back." But there was nowhere to fall back to. The Wrath was everywhere. Its weapons reached across thousands of kilometers. Its shields blocked every counterattack. It was not a ship fighting a fleet. It was a god swatting insects. On Earth, people watched the battle through telescopes and sensors. They saw the flashes of light. They saw the Vorak ships dying. For the first time in months, they cheered Dot in the resistance bunkers. Admiral Yuna watched with tears in her eyes. "They are actually doing it," she whispered. "They are winning." And on the bridge of the Wrath, Minho stood in silence. He watched the destruction. He felt the weight of every death. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Not until Earth was safe. "Admiral Kraft's flagship is attempting to retreat," Guardian reported. "Should I pursue?" "No," Minho said. "Let him go. Let him carry news of what happened here. Let the entire Vorak Empire know." The Conqueror's fist jumped to faster-than-light travel, running from a battle for the first time in its existence. Behind it, the Vorak fleet burned. Out of 6,000 ships, fewer than 500 escaped. The Battle of Earth was over. Humanity had won, but Minho knew the war was not finished. Not yet. There was one more thing to do. "Set course for the Vorak homeworld," he said. "Commander?" June looked at him in surprise. "We won. Earth is safe." "Why continue?" "Because as long as the Vorak Empire exists, they will come back. They will rebuild. They will try again." He looked at the star map. "I do not want to destroy them, but I want them to understand. I want them to know that attacking humanity was the worst mistake they ever made." The wrath of the first children turned away from Earth. Its engines glowed. Its weapons hummed. When the last human warship fell, the superwarship of the ancient Sturs Minho sat in the captain's chair. It felt wrong. He was nobody special. Just an engineer from a small town outside Seoul. He had joined the Europa research station because he liked fixing things and hated crowds. Now he was sitting in a chair that controlled a ship bigger than most cities. "I do not know how to do this," he said quietly. "You will learn," the ship's voice replied. It called itself Guardian. Minho thought that was a good name for something that had waited 12,000 years to protect humanity. "The chair will teach you. Close your eyes." Minho closed his eyes. At first, he felt nothing. Then, slowly, information began to flow into his mind. It was like remembering things he had never known. The ship's systems, its weapons, its shields, its engines. All of it became clear, like fog lifting from a mountain. When he opened his eyes, he understood. This ship has enough firepower to destroy a planet, he said. His voice was steady now. Yes, it was built to fight threats that no longer exist. Enemies from before your time. The Vorak are dangerous, but they are nothing compared to what your ancestors faced. On the main screen, Minho could see the stars moving past. The ship was traveling fast. Very fast. Faster than any human ship had ever traveled. Tell me about them, Minho said. Tell me about the first children. The room changed. Holographic images appeared all around him. He saw Earth as it had been millions of years ago, greener, warmer, and covered with cities that touched the clouds. The first children were humanity's first civilization, Guardian explained. They arose on Earth 3 million years before your current era. They discovered fire and stone, like you did. But they did not stop. They built great machines. They cured all disease. They spread across the stars. The images showed humans, ancient humans, building ships, exploring planets, meeting other species. Some of those species were friendly. Others were not. But something happened, Minho guessed. Yes, the first children grew too powerful. Other empires feared them. Alliances formed against them. Wars were fought. Terrible wars that destroyed entire star systems. The images turned dark. Ships burned. Planets cracked. Billions died. In the end, the first children won. But the cost was too high. They had become something they did not want to be. Warriors, killers. They looked at what they had done and felt shame. So what did they do? They chose to start again. They dismantled their civilization. They destroyed their weapons. They erased their knowledge. They returned to Earth and let themselves forget. They became simple again, primitive. They wanted to grow up a second time, hoping to do it better. Minho felt a deep sadness. His ancestors had been gods among the stars. And they had given it all up because they did not like who they had become. But they left things behind, he said. Yes, they were not foolish. They knew that one day their children might face dangers they could not handle alone. So they built guardians. Ships like this one, hidden on moons and in deep space. They built watchers who would stay awake while humanity slept. They left an inheritance for the future. And I am supposed to use that inheritance. You are supposed to protect your people. That is what the inheritance is for. Minho thought about Earth, about the Vorak fleet heading toward it, about all the people who would die in 3 days if he did not do something. How many survivors are on the ship? He asked. 19. All members of the Europa Research Station. Dr. June, Station Director Tai Yang, Dr. Su Yao, and 16 others. They are awake and being briefed on our situation. Bring them here, to the bridge. If we are going to fight, we are going to do it together. 20 minutes later, the bridge was full of scared scientists. None of them had ever been soldiers. None of them had ever fired a weapon. But they were human, and that meant they were stubborn. June stood next to Minho. She had been studying the holographic displays, learning everything she could about the ship. This is incredible, she said. The technology is so advanced. We could spend 1,000 years studying it and not understand everything. We do not have 1,000 years, Minho reminded her. We have 2 days. Director Tai Yang stepped forward. He was an older man with gray hair and a serious face. What is the plan? We are scientists, not warriors. How can we possibly fight the Vorak? The ship can fight on its own if needed, Guardian said. Its systems are fully automated, but it fights better with a crew. Humans give it creativity, flexibility, things that machines lack. So we just tell it what to do. Asked Dr. Su Yao. Yes, you make the decisions. The ship follows them. Minho looked at the main screen. The stars streaked past. In the distance, he could see the sun. Their sun. Earth's sun. Home. Guardian, he said. What is the status of the Vorik fleet? A map appeared. Red dots showed the enemy ships. Thousands of them moving in a line toward the blue dot that was Earth. The Vorik fleet consists of 6,412 combat vessels. Their flagship is the Conqueror's Fist, commanded by Admiral Krath. They are carrying enough weapons to burn Earth's surface completely. Estimated time to Earth: 2 days, 14 hours. And us? We will arrive at Earth in 1 day, 18 hours. We will have approximately 20 hours to prepare before the Vorik arrive. Minho nodded slowly. 20 hours. It was not much, but it was something. What about other humans? Are there any ships left? Any survivors? Guardian was quiet for a moment. Then new dots appeared on the map. Green dots. Scattered and small. There are survivors. Hidden in underground bases on Earth, Mars, and several moons. The largest group is led by Admiral Yuna. She commands what remains of humanity's military, approximately 200,000 soldiers and 37 small ships. They are hiding in bunkers beneath the mountains of Korea. Can we contact them? Yes, but the Vorik are monitoring all communications. Any signal we send will reveal their location. Minho thought about this. He needed to talk to Admiral Yuna. He needed to coordinate with whatever forces humanity had left. But he could not risk exposing them. Can't we send a message that the Vorik cannot understand? The first children developed communication methods based on quantum entanglement. If Admiral Yuna's systems have any compatible equipment, we could establish a secure connection. Try it. Hours passed. The scientists worked to understand the ship's systems. They made mistakes. They learned. Slowly, they began to feel less like passengers and more like crew. Minho stayed on the bridge, watching the stars. He thought about his parents, who had died when he was young. He thought about the little repair shop where he had learned to fix things. He thought about all the quiet years he had spent on Europa, running away from a world that felt too big and too fast. Now, the world was depending on him. The irony was not lost on him. Commander, Guardian said. It had started calling him that. Minho did not feel like a commander, but he did not argue. We have established contact with Admiral Yuna. A holographic image appeared before him. A woman in a military uniform. She looked tired, old, but her eyes were sharp and full of fire. Who are you? She demanded. How are you using this frequency? I thought our old quantum systems were broken decades ago. Admiral Yuna, Minho said. My name is Minho. I am commanding a ship. An ancient ship that was hidden on Europa. Europa? The research station? I thought everyone there was dead. We survived. And we found something. Something our ancestors left behind. He told her everything. The awakening. The ship. The first children. Admiral Yuna listened without speaking. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. If this is true, she finally said, then we have a chance. It is true. I am bringing this ship to Earth now. We will arrive before the Vorik. What do you need from us? Minho smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in days. I need you to get ready, Admiral. The Vorik think they have already won. They think humanity is finished. I want to show them how wrong they are. On the screen, Admiral Yuna smiled back. It was a warrior's smile. A smile that promised blood and fire. Then let us show them what humans can do when they are cornered, she said. Let us show them why our ancestors conquered the stars. The wrath of the first children flew on through the darkness. Behind it, Europa became small and then invisible. Ahead, Earth waited. Home waited. And the enemy waited. When the last human warship fell, the superwarship of the ancients, Thursday R. June had spent 15 years studying the ruins beneath Europa's ice. 15 years of cold. 15 years of questions without answers. 15 years of looking at walls covered in symbols that no one could read. The research station was small. Just 20 scientists and support staff living in metal boxes under kilometers of frozen water. The rest of humanity had forgotten about them. When the HFY War started, no one had time to think about researchers digging through old alien ruins. June did not mind being forgotten. She preferred it. Out here, there were no politicians asking for results. No military officers demanding weapons. Just silence, ice, and mysteries older than time. Tonight, like every night, she sat in her small office and studied photographs of the chamber walls. The symbols were beautiful. Curved lines and sharp angles mixed together in patterns that almost made sense. Almost, but not quite. Still working? Asked a voice from the doorway. June looked up. It was Minho, the station's chief engineer. He was a quiet man with kind eyes and clever hands. He kept the station running when things broke, which was often. Cannot sleep, June admitted. These symbols. I feel like I'm so close to understanding them. Minho walked in and sat down across from her. He looked tired. Everyone looked tired these days. News from Earth was bad. News from the war was worse. Did you hear? He asked softly. The eternal dawn fell today. That was the last one. June felt cold in a way that had nothing to do with Europa's ice. The last warship? Yes, the HFY fleet is heading for Earth now. 3 days, they say. She closed her eyes. Her family was on Earth. Her mother. Her little brother. Everyone she had ever loved. Maybe the ruins can help, Minho said. It was what he always said. It was a joke between them, but tonight it did not feel funny. They are just old stones, June said. Whatever civilization built them, they are long gone. As if the universe wanted to prove her wrong, the station shook. Not a small shake. The whole building moved. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed. Earthquake? Minho shouted over the noise. Europa does not have earthquakes. June shouted back. They ran out of her office and down the narrow hallway. Other researchers were stumbling out of their rooms, confused and scared. Station Director Taiyang was already at the main control center, staring at screens that showed impossible things. What is happening? June asked. I do not know, Taiyang said. His voice was shaking, but it is coming from the ruins. On the screen, thermal sensors showed something that could not be real. Deep beneath them, in the ancient chambers they had studied for years, temperatures were rising. Not slowly. Fast. Very fast. That is impossible, whispered Dr. Su Yao, the team's geologist. There is no heat source down there. We checked 1,000 times. The station shook again. Harder this time. A crack appeared in the ceiling. Pieces of ice fell around them. We need to evacuate, Taiyang said. Everyone to the escape pods. Now. People started running. But June did not move. She was staring at another screen. The cameras in the ruins. She could see the chamber walls, the ones covered in symbols. And the symbols were glowing. Minho, she said. Look. He looked. His eyes went wide. The glow spread from symbol to symbol, like fire moving through dry grass. Lines of light connected across walls, across floors, across ceilings. The entire ruin was coming alive, Dot. And then a voice spoke, Dot. It came from everywhere. From the speakers. From the walls. From the ice itself. It spoke in a language that June had never heard, but somehow, impossibly, she understood. Human blood detected. Threat to human survival confirmed. Awakening protocol initiated. What was that? Minho asked. His face was pale. I think, June said slowly, I think the ruins are not ruins. The floor beneath them cracked. Not just cracked. Split open. Through the gap, June could see light. Bright, golden light, coming from somewhere far below. Everyone out. Tyann screamed, but it was too late. The station was falling. The ice was breaking apart. June felt herself falling into the light. She woke up in a place that should not exist. She was lying on a floor made of something that looked like metal but felt warm, like living skin. Above her, the ceiling stretched so high that she could not see it. Around her, walls rose like the sides of mountains, covered in the same symbols from the ruins. But here, the symbols were bright and moving. Hello? She called out. Her voice echoed. Dr. June, said the voice from before. It was gentle now, almost kind. You are safe. Please remain calm. Where am I? Where is everyone else? Your companions are safe. They are in the medical bay. This vessel is treating their injuries. Vessel? June stood up slowly. Her legs were shaking. What vessel? The wall in front of her became transparent. Through it, she could see something that made her knees weak. She was looking at the interior of a ship, but not a ship like any she had ever seen. This ship was enormous. Corridors stretched in every direction. Machinery hummed with power. Lights flowed through every surface like blood through veins. This vessel is called the Wrath of the First Children, the voice explained. It was built by your ancestors, Dr. June. It was built to protect humanity. It has been sleeping beneath Europa's ice for 12,000 years, waiting for this moment. My ancestors? June could not understand. But humans only developed space travel a few hundred years ago. That is not correct. Humanity is much older than you know. Your ancestors traveled to stars millions of years before your recorded history. They were the first children of Earth. They built great civilizations across this galaxy. And they built this ship. June felt like she was dreaming. This could not be real. It was impossible. Why? She asked. Why did they build this ship? Because they knew that one day their children would need protection. They knew that one day a threat would come. They left guardians behind, watchers. This ship watched and waited. When your species rose again, it watched. When you reached the stars again, it watched. When the Varak came, it watched. And when your last warship fell, it received the signal. The signal? From Captain Sunwoo of the Eternal Dawn. He knew. Somehow, he knew to send the coordinates. Perhaps it was a story passed down through generations. Perhaps it was simply hope. Either way, the signal was received. And now, the wrath of the first children awakens. The ship shuddered. Through the transparent wall, June could see the ice breaking apart above them. The ship was rising. This massive, ancient, impossible ship was rising out of Europa. The Varak fleet is 3 days from Earth, the voice said. This vessel will arrive in 2. June felt tears running down her face. She did not know if they were tears of fear or hope. But who will command it? She asked. Who will fight? You will help choose. But first, there is someone you should meet. A door opened behind her. Standing in the doorway was Minho. His clothes were torn. There was a cut on his cheek. But he was alive. June, he said, you need to see this. You need to see what our ancestors left for us. She followed him. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. They passed rooms filled with technology that looked like magic. They saw weapons that could destroy worlds and shields that could protect them. Finally, they reached the bridge. It was enormous. Stations and consoles filled the room. Holographic displays showed the galaxy in perfect detail. And at the center, a chair waited. The captain's chair. The wrath of the first children needs a commander, the ship's voice said. It needs someone to give it purpose. Someone to direct its power. Minho looked at the chair. Then he looked at June. It should be you, she said. You are an engineer. You understand machines. I am just a maintenance worker, he said. I fix broken heaters and clogged pipes. You are human, the ship said. That is enough. That is all that was ever needed. Outside, the ice of Europa fell away. The wrath of the first children rose into the black sky. Its hull stretched for kilometers. Its weapons powered up, glowing like captured stars. The Vorak did not know it yet, but their victory was already over. Humanity's ancestors. When the last human warship fell, the superwarship of the ancient stirs, the stars burned like distant fires through the viewport of the eternal dawn. Captain Selmu stood at the center of the bridge, his hands gripping the command console so hard that his knuckles turned white. Around him, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across every wall. The ship shook again as another blast hit the hull. Shields down to 12%, shouted Lieutenant Hana from her station. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed fear. We cannot take much more of this. Sunwoo looked at the main screen. What he saw made his stomach turn cold. The Vorak Armada stretched across space like an ocean of metal and death. Thousands of ships, maybe tens of thousands, each one armed with weapons that could crack a planet in half. And against them stood only one ship, the Eternal Dawn, the last warship of humanity. How many did we lose? Sunwoo asked quietly. The Hope of Seoul fell 20 minutes ago, answered Ensign Dohon from the communication station. His young face was pale. The Spirit of Bizen went down an hour before that. We are alone, Captain. Sunwoo closed his eyes for a moment. The Hope of Seoul had been commanded by his old friend, Captain Mireille. They had trained together. They had fought together. Now she was gone. Her ship was gone. Her crew of 3,000 souls was gone. The Vorak had come without warning. One day, humanity was spreading across the stars, building colonies, dreaming of a bright future. The next day, the Vorak appeared. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were completely black, like holes in their faces. They did not negotiate. They did not ask for surrender. They simply destroyed Dot in 3 months. They had wiped out every human colony outside of Earth. In 3 more months, they had broken through Earth's defense fleet. Ship after ship fell. Station after station was destroyed. Now only the Eternal Dawn remained. One ship against an empire. Captain, said Hana, they are charging their main weapons again. Sunwoo opened his eyes. He looked at his crew. Navigator Junho sat at his station, calculating escape routes that did not exist. Weapons Officer Soman was trying to get the last cannons working. Medical Officer Yoongji was treating wounded. Crew members right there on the bridge because the medical bay had been destroyed. They were all so young, so brave. All hands, Sunwoo said into the shipwide communicator. This is your captain speaking. The alarms went quiet. Every person on the ship listened. I will not lie to you, Sunwoo continued. We are not going to win this battle. We are not going to survive this day. The Eternal Dawn will fall, just like all our sister ships fell. He paused. On the screen, the Vorak ships moved closer. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. But we are not going to run, Sunwoo said. We are going to fight. We are going to make them pay for every life they took. We are going to show them that humans do not surrender. We do not break. We do not bow. Even when we fall fighting. Across the ship, crew members stood straighter. Some cried. Some smiled. All of them prepared for the end. For Earth, Sunwoo said. For humanity. For everyone we lost. For Earth. The crew shouted back. The Vorak fleet opened fire. The Eternal Dawn screamed as dozens of blasts hit her at once. Entire sections of the ship broke apart. Crew members were thrown across rooms. Fires erupted everywhere, but the old ship kept fighting. Some men fired every weapon they had left. Missiles flew toward the enemy. Energy beams cut through space. 3 Vorak ships exploded. Then 5 more. The humans were dying, but they were not dying quietly. Hull breach on deck 7 through 12, reported Junho. His console was smoking. Blood ran down his forehead. We have lost engine room 2. Keep firing, Sunwoo ordered. Hana worked her console with desperate speed. Captain, I have an idea. If we overload the reactor core, we can take out at least 50 of their ships with us. Sunwoo nodded slowly. It was a good death. A meaningful death. But something nagged at him. A memory. Something his grandmother had told him when he was a child. A story about ancient humans. About a secret. Dohan, Sunwoo said suddenly, can you still transmit? Barely, sir. Short range only. I need you to send a signal to these coordinates. Sunwoo typed quickly on his console. Numbers appeared on the screen. Coordinates for a small moon called Europa, far away in their home solar system. Hana looked confused. Captain? There is nothing at Europa. It is just ice and old research stations. My grandmother told me stories, Sunwoo said. Stories about the first children. About what they left behind. I always thought they were just fairy tales. But now, he looked at the Vorak fleet. Now I think we should try everything. Signal sent, Dohan reported. Then a blast hit his station. The young ensign fell and did not get up. Sunwoo felt the ship dying around him. The lights flickered. The artificial gravity failed for a moment. Through a crack in the hull, he could see the cold stars. Hannah, he said, begin reactor overload. Yes, Captain. Somin kept firing until his station exploded. Junho died trying to keep them flying straight. Yoonji dragged wounded crew members toward escape pods that would never launch. One by one, the bridge crew fell. Hana was the last one standing beside Sunwoo. She looked at him with tears in her eyes, but a smile on her face. It was an honor, Captain. The honor was mine, Lieutenant. The reactor reached critical. The Eternal Dawn glowed like a small sun. The Vorak ships tried to pull back, but they were too slow. In his final moment, Sunwoo looked at the stars. He thought about Earth. He thought about his grandmother's stories. He hoped with all his heart that the signal had reached its destination. Then the Eternal Dawn exploded. The blast was enormous. It lit up space for millions of kilometers. 57 Vorak ships were destroyed instantly. Hundreds more were damaged. The Vorak armada stopped its advance, shocked by the fury of the human ship's death. On the Vorak command ship, Admiral Krath watched the explosion fade. His forearms were crossed over his chest. His black eyes showed no emotion. The last human warship is destroyed, reported his second in command. Good, Krath said. Now finish them? Destroy their planet. End this weak species forever. The armada turned toward Earth. The journey would take 3 days. In 3 days, humanity would cease to exist. The Vorak were sure of it. They did not know about the signal. They did not know about Europa. They did not know about the thing that slept beneath the ice, waiting for exactly this moment. Far away, On a frozen moon, something ancient received the message. Lights that had been dark for 10,000 years began to glow. Machines that had been silent for longer than human civilization had